Greetings, my name is Sumitiper and welcome to the ACERVO Season 2 finale. This season's theme was descriptions of emotions or thoughts, feelings, emotions, and reasoning. This season was a lot of work. If I were superstitious, I would have said that the world is conspiring against me, so that I'm unable to properly do this ACERVO season. The amount of times I was either sick or in pain is unimaginable. An outsider looking in would have thought that I have some chronic disease affecting my immune system, which I don't have. Anyways, enough talk about my difficulties. I'll try my best to be less sick next time. Plus, I'm going to see if I can finally fulfill the goals I set for myself on how to improve this series of mine. I'm pretty much done with the essay seasons, and the following ones will be actual writing, like a story. However, I will still maintain the morals and lessons I seek to teach and parallels to reality. I also want to do a brief recap of the episodes with a short blurb about them. Episode 1: Sadness. I wasn't sad while writing this, nor did I even know how to properly start this season. I was divided between objectively describing something as good or as bad, and therefore flattening any and all possible discussion, a recurring problem all throughout this season. Episode 2: Confusion. This episode's title makes sense because this episode is confusing and makes absolutely no sense. I was all over the place and didn't even know what to properly write when talking about the concept of being confused. Episode 3: Anger. My favorite episode of this season. Properly written, paragraphs that aren't floating on their own, and what I think is the best thing I have written for ACERVO so far. Only if each episode could be like this one. Episode 4: Rage and Apathy. The most watched episode of Season 2 as of me writing this, and a title that's well deserved. It took some points from the previous episode and expanded them while also talking about a different and often ignored sentiment that is apathy. Episode 5: Fear. One of my best works. If I wanted, I could have also tied this to anger and written on how fear of the other can evolve into anger, and how some manifestations of anger can happen because of fear. Although I am proud of how this came out. Episode 6: Empathy. Coming directly from the three best episodes to the single worst episode I've made, created while I was in immense pain from my jaw, which led to a headache. This idiot that is myself forgot to fucking see if the audio worked properly before deleting the original audio files and being in too much pain to re-record it. Fuck this shitty episode. Don't watch it. It's not worth it. Episode 7: Happiness. I'm kind of indifferent to this episode. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. Maybe it was slightly mediocre, but the dumpster fire that preceded it made it look coherent. I would have more to say if I could remember more about this episode's writing process. Episode 8: Monotony. This is similar to the previous, although I personally think that this episode is slightly better and made more sense. I could have really made a shining star out of this one, but it turned out just alright. Maybe the message could have used a little bit more work though. Episode 9: Gratefulness. written with good intentions but falling flat on its head. I had so much I wanted to write, but I actually realized that almost none of my ideas for this episode actually revolved around gratitude. The result is the corpses of dead ideas meshed together into a horrific Frankenstein's monster. Episode 10: Motivation. A good episode at last. I was really worried about this turning out bad, especially considering how much of a hurry I was in. The text is solid, the message is something I'm fervently in favor of, and it's not a downer like so many of my writings. That was the recap. I don't have all that much to say other than that writing in an essay style was good. It challenged me to think outside of the box and put me out of my comfort zone. Now that I depart from non-fiction and am about to dive headfirst into proper fiction, I can't help but find this ending sort of bittersweet. Was I wrong to write season 1 and season 2 the way I did? Will it pay off? Will season 3 be better? Only time can tell. If I actually drank and if I could actually be bothered, I would propose a toast. But since I don't and I don't care, I'll just say, here's hoping for ACERVO season 3 to be good. Not marvelous, not excellent, just good. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Sumitiper, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next year.